Brigette's the producer on our new series, FantomWorks Off-Grid.
Hey, Dan. Well, I stayed late last night working.
Yeah?
And when I went out to my car, my tailpipe was hanging.
Let's go look. Brigette's parked right next to our shop. It's typically a pretty good area, but apparently these thieves, they don't really care whether it's a good area or not. I can clearly see you got mufflers and pipes hanging from the bottom of the car.
I literally felt violated. Somebody had taken my freedom. My car is really important to me.
So these morons end up parking way down the street after casing our place. They park, low crawl through the briars, come up behind the vehicle so we can't see their faces, and cut out her catalytic converter. 2 vehicles and a bicyclist passed right by as they were in the middle of cutting.
There's a couple of sparks, and then they were gone.
We have it all on video, and nobody said a word.
I can't move my car without a catalytic converter.
Catalytic converter thefts are actually one of the most prolific crime in America today.
Unfortunately, because of the precious metals that are in them, they're worth money. So people are willing to do whatever it takes to get those converters. It's a problem. It's a big problem.
And the problem is, as long as there's someone willing to buy stolen property, other people will steal it.
I called the Norfolk City Police, and we turned over the footage to them.
Davey's our resident exhaust specialist, so I asked him to go out there and figure out just how much damage was done.
I went under there, I looked at it. There was no 2-sensor wire, which is not too out of the ordinary, but I did a little bit of further research and come to find out that it wasn't a converter that they had stole off their car.
I sat down and sort of ran some base calculations, and I came up with some rather interesting information.
Dan calls me into the office to go over some calculations. I'm assuming that means my catalytic converter is really expensive.
Okay, the good news is criminals are even stupider than you thought. So let's just assume that they don't live here in this shop and they drove 3 miles to get here and 3 miles to get home because they did it in the middle of the night. And then the scrap yard is 3 full miles from here. So in order just to get here, get the catalytic converter home, and then get it to the scrap yard and get back home, it's a total of 12 miles, okay? The government per diem rate on a passenger car tells me that they spent just in fuel and basic wear and tear $7.02, but we know it was more than that because they're driving a 1-ton dually double cab full-length bed vehicle. So they probably spent about $14 just in fuel and wear and tear on the vehicle. Their total expenditures to get your catalytic converter was $21.52.
Dan took the time to figure out how much money these criminals wasted.
Now, what do you think a scrap catalytic converter is worth?
Maybe 50 bucks.
So in other words, they spent $21.52 to get 40 bucks. Only here's the really good news. Hang on to that. You know what that is?
I'm assuming it's a catalytic converter.
It is not a catalytic converter. It's a resonator.
It's pretty much a muffler. It's a small muffler.
These thieves aren't smart enough to even steal the right thing.
It's not even worth the metal that it's made out of.
I bought that wholesale. That cost us $35.79. But here's the best part. Do you know what the scrap value on a non-catalytic converter resonator is?
I'm assuming there's no platinum in this.
There's no platinum at all in that. That's just a piece of metal.
I don't know, 5 bucks.
The scrap value on that, based on today's prices, and this is you driving it down there, is 51 cents.
Are you kidding me?
51 cents.
So really, the biggest cost here was the inconvenience to me.
These guys spent between $21.52 and about $35, spent the night, risked going to jail. Oh, and by the way, we have their license plate number, so I've already turned that over to the police.
Nice.
They did all that for 51 cents. So your cost in getting this fixed is $35.79 because we're going to go ahead and weld it on for you for nothing. Before Davey started working here, his favorite thing to do was building custom exhaust systems.
I've probably got about 15 years of exhaust work under my belt, so I've seen this quite a bit.
So any chance he can get to weld on an exhaust, even if it's only replacing a resonator on a 2018 Jeep, he'll take it and he has fun with it.
Hey, Davey.
Yeah.
So you were right.
Yeah, they didn't take the converter.
No.
They took a resonator.
Yeah.
Unfortunate
so
for them.
Dan
Good
said
news for you, but
Yeah, Dan said to give it to you and you can weld it in place.
I'll take care of it.
How long do you think it'll take?
Once I have car and lift, about 20 minutes.
I'm really happy that I don't have to replace my catalytic converter. I'm really happy Davey was able to order the resonator. Really happy that I can just keep working. And then tomorrow I get to drive myself at 4:30 in the morning to work.
The priceless moment I'm going to miss in this whole thing is seeing their faces when they turn in a catalytic converter that they think is worth 40 or 50 bucks and getting 50 cents for it if they're lucky.
I think the criminals got what they deserved. They wasted their time and took a $35 part that they won't get any money for. I hope the police find them at some point.
We've got two different perspectives on their truck. We know exactly where they parked, what their truck is, what their license plate is. We've turned it all over to the police. There's always the big question, does crime ever pay? And clearly for these two Norfolk knuckle draggers, the answer is no.